welcome to a new episode of RT Essentials. It's Naz Perez, and there's a lot to take in when you watch a movie. The acting, the music, the story, and generally those are the things being discussed when you leave the theater or you turn off your TV. But there is one aspect of filmmaking that often gets overlooked when discussing how good or bad or powerful or weak a film is: the cinematography. When done well, this is what can truly transport you to a new world, to make you feel like you're sitting in the battlefield with a soldier or in a nightclub in the Roaring '20s. Or with Will Ferrell at the Roxbury. And as is the case with many jobs in Hollywood, it's been a male-dominated profession. But over the years, and more so in this day and age, there have been some amazing female cinematographers doing top-tier work. That's why today we are going to bring you the most beautiful movies shot by women. Creed.
You see this guy here staring back at you?
Yeah?
That's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life. Okay? Let's throw a jab in the jaw. All right, one to the gut. Now, every time you punch this guy, what's he doing?
Just throwing one back at me.
That's right. So either you block it, slip it, or get out of the way. So. I'll leave you two alone for a while.
Coming in with a hard right hook as our first film on this list is 2015 sports drama Creed, shot by cinematographer Maurice Alberti. This marks the 7th installment in the Rocky franchise and is a sequel to 2006's Rocky Balboa. This one stars Michael B. Jordan as Adonis, or Donnie Creed, Apollo Creed's son who died before Donnie was born. But boxing is in Donnie's blood, and he eventually seeks out the training help of retired champ Rocky Balboa, with Sylvester Stallone reprising the iconic role and also writing all of his own scenes. The film, which also includes Tessa Thompson and Felicia Rashad in supporting roles, reunites Jordan with writer and director Ryan Coogler. After working with him on 2013's Fruitvale Station and before teaming up again for Black Panther in 2018. And lending her skills behind the camera was French cinematographer Maurice Alberti, known for films like 2016's Collateral Beauty and 2008's The Wrestler, the latter of which also made this list. Maurice turned heads after filming an entire 2-round boxing match as a single take at one point during Creed, with no tricks or edits. She later said of the shot, quote, "I think you don't need to rely on movie editing to dictate emotion." The film was released on the 40th anniversary of the opening scene in 1976's Rocky and became a full-circle event when Stallone was nominated for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Creed, his first nomination since the original Rocky. The success of this spin-off led to a sequel, Creed 2, released in 2018 to critical and commercial success. And Creed 3, with Michael B. Jordan making his directorial debut, is scheduled for release late in 2022. And critics thought this certified fresh installment was a knockout, with the consensus that Creed brings the Rocky franchise off the mat for a surprisingly effective 7th round that extends the boxer's saga in interesting new directions while staying true to its classic predecessor's roots. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Did you clean some string beans?
No, not at all. God, I love this kitchen.
Thank you so much.
She's not looking at me. She's busy. She's not looking at me. No one ever looks at me. I want my mommy.
Oh, baby Joel. Hey, Joel.
Is every little peanut under there okay?
He's fine.
You're really gonna want to clear your mind and maybe grab some sunglasses for this next movie on the list. It is 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, shot by cinematographer Ellen Kouros. Directed by Michel Gondry, this film stars Kate Winslet as Clementine, who, after a painful breakup, undergoes a procedure to erase memories of her former boyfriend Jim Carrey's Joel from her mind. But when he finds out about these extreme measures she's taking to forget their relationship, Joel undergoes the same procedure and slowly starts to forget the woman that he loved. Joining Jim and Kate on this wild adventure is a stellar ensemble cast that includes Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Tom Wilkinson. It could have been even more impressive because Ellen Pompeo and Tracy Morgan were cast and even filmed some stuff, but their parts were ultimately cut. The film's unique visuals came courtesy of cinematographer Ellen Kouros, an unprecedented 3-time winner of the Best Dramatic Cinematography Award at the Sundance Film Festival. She would go on to shoot, write, and direct The Betrayal in 2008, which was Oscar nominated for Best Documentary.
I can't see anything that I don't like about you.
But But you
Right
will.
now, I can't.
But you will. You know, you will think of things, and I'll get bored with you and feel trapped because that's what happens with me.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And joining her behind the scenes was Charlie Kaufman, writer of films like Adaptation and Being John Malkovich, who took home an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for this film. Eternal Sunshine has crept into cult following territory over the years, and there have been rumors of a potential television series based on the film being in development for some time now. And while that's not for sure, what we can bank on is the fact that critics love this certified fresh flick, with a consensus that, quote, Kaufman's smart, imaginative script and Gondry's equally daring directorial touch make this film a twisty yet heartfelt look at relationships and heartache. The Neon Demon.
True beauty is the highest currency we have. Now, without it, she would be nothing.
I think you're wrong.
Excuse me?
I said I think you're wrong.
So are you going to tell me that it's what's inside that counts?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
From Sunshine to Neon, the next film on this list that shines bright with its camera work is 2016's Neon Demon, shot by cinematographer Natasha Breyer. This psychological horror film was directed by Nicholas Winding Refn and features Elle Fanning in the lead role, replacing Carey Mulligan, who dropped out with scheduling conflicts. Fanning plays Jessie, an aspiring model who moves to LA after her 16th birthday to launch a career. But her fast success and strong potential soon makes her the target of ruthless competitors who are jealous of the new blood. Plus, she has to deal with a seedy motel manager and a creepy photographer, and ends up developing a much more sinister side, which proves useful in dealing with these roadblocks. Fanning is joined by a supporting cast that includes Jenna Malone, Christina Hendricks, and Keanu Reeves. Yep, that Keanu. The movie was shot in chronological order, and filming took place in and around LA. And the one making the actual magic happen behind the camera was Argentinian cinematographer Natasha Breyer.
I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't write. No real talent. But I'm pretty. And I can make money off pretty.
Known for films like 2019's Honey Boy and 2014's The Rover, Breyer brought a unique approach to this project that included smearing the lens with grease from her own unwashed hair to get the right look for a scene. She went on to win Best Cinematography awards from multiple festivals and outlets, including the Fright Meter Awards and Danish Film Awards. And while the movie is coming in rotten on the tomato meter, critics like Candace Frederick from Real Talk Online recognize Breyer's skills, saying, quote, the photography is stunning, but the story is a hot mess, with an overall consensus from critics that The Neon Demon is seductively stylish, but that can't quite compensate for an underdeveloped plot and thinly written characters. Mudbound.
We were somewhere over Austria. We made contact with a whole swarm of Messerschmitts. I mean, they was everywhere. Took out my tail gunner, co-pilot. They deal with God right there. Swore if he saved me, I was gonna do something good.
We're gonna get down and dirty as we herd toward the next film on this list, 2017's Mudbound, shot by cinematographer Rachel Morrison. This historical drama was directed and co-written by Dee Reese and is based on the 2008 Hillary Jordan novel of the same name. It stars Carey Mulligan and Garrett Hedlund, with a supporting cast that includes Jonathan Banks, Jason Clarke, and Mary J. Blige. The film is set in the rural American South during World War II and follows two families bound together by their shared farmland of the Mississippi Delta. But the McCallan family, city transplants not prepared for the harsh life of farming, and the Jackson family, longtime sharecroppers who have worked the land for generations, are pitted against each other by the social hierarchy of the Jim Crow South. This is made even more complicated when sons from both families return home from the war, having forged a friendship. Mudbound was a big hit on the award show circuit and pulled in 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Cinematography, where Rachel Morrison became the first woman ever nominated in the category. Morrison, who got her start shooting shows like The Hills and working on various Oprah specials, has since made quite the name for herself with this film, and others like 2013's Fruitvale Station and 2018's Black Panther. I mean, not a bad resume.
You know what? You're absolutely right. When we was overseas, they didn't make us use the back door. General Patton put us on the front line. Yes, sir. And you know what we did? We kicked the hell out of Hitler and them Jerry's. Are y'all at home safe and sound?
The film was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress and Best Song, both for Mary J. Blige in Oscar's first, and Best Adapted Screenplay for Reese, who became the first Black woman to ever be nominated in the category. I mean, now this is a groundbreaking film. Critics had plenty to praise in this certified fresh gem, with A.O. Scott from the New York Times saying that Morrison's camera work, quote, brings the soil, the flora, and the weather to life in a way that emphasizes the archaic elemental power of the story. While the overall consensus from critics is that, quote, Mudbound offers a well-acted, finely detailed snapshot of American history whose scenes of rural class struggle resonate far beyond their period setting. The Wrestler.
You never did anything wrong. You know? I used to try to, forget about you. I used to try to pretend that you didn't exist. But I can't. You're my girl. You're my little girl.
Body slamming and subplexing its way onto this list next is 2008's The Wrestler, shot by cinematographer Maurice Alberti. Directed by Darren Aronofsky, this film is about aging wrestler Randy, the Ram Robinson, played by Mickey Rourke, who is well past his prime but still trying to make it happen on the pro wrestling circuit. But after taking a rather tense beating in the ring, he decides to hang up his boots and ends up pursuing a serious relationship with an aging stripper, played by Marissa Tomei. He also tries to reconnect with his estranged daughter, played by Evan Rachel Wood, but finds himself missing the ring and starts dreaming up a comeback, realizing that life in and out of the ring is a struggle. Filming for The Wrestler took about 40 days in the winter of 2008, taking place mostly in New Jersey and New York, with some scenes shot at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. And doing the heavy lifting behind the camera was Maurice Alberti, who picked up an Independent Spirit Award for Best Cinematography for this film.
Look at me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I'm done. Do you understand? Done. Get out.
Alberti was mostly working on documentaries at the time, but did do one other feature film in 2008, The Onion Movie, which was co-written by Robert D. Siegel, a former Onion writer, who also happened to write this film as well. I mean, talk about an odd pair of projects. The film is credited for revitalizing the career of Mickey Rourke, who nearly lost out on the role to Nicolas Cage. But Rourke was the perfect fit for the part and the spandex, and ended up receiving a bunch of awards love, including an Oscar nom for Best Actor alongside Marissa Tomei, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And critics were ready to award this certified fresh film with a championship belt, with a consensus that Mickey Rourke gives a performance for the ages in The Wrestler, a richly affecting, heart-wrenching, yet ultimately rewarding drama. A Quiet Place. Crank your volume for this next movie. I will be sure to speak nice and loud for 2018's A Quiet Place, shot by cinematographer Charlotta Bruce Christensen. This one was directed by John Krasinski, who also stars alongside his wife, Emily Blunt. And they even used some of their real family photos in the movie. I mean, isn't that sweet? The film is about a family in a post-apocalyptic world that is forced to live in silence to avoid deadly and mysterious creatures that hunt using sound. With the slightest whisper or footstep potentially bringing danger, the family relies on sign language and other means to communicate. Of course, things are made even more complicated because Blunt's character, Evelyn, is pregnant and about to give birth. I mean, not the easiest time to stay quiet. In fact, the movie only contains about 25 lines of voice dialogue, with the first not coming until nearly 40 minutes in. So that made the job of Danish cinematographer Charlotta Bruce Christensen even more important. Kristen Sin is best known for her work on 2016's Fences and The Girl on the Train, the latter of which also starred Emily Blunt, and she knocked out filming over the course of just 36 days in upstate New York during 2017. The result was a film that became a massive success, pulling in $350 million worldwide and paving the way for a sequel, A Quiet Place 2, released in 2021 with Krasinski returning to direct and the main cast coming back, plus the additions of Cillian Murphy and Djimon Hounsou. Interestingly, the film was once considered as a potential fourth installment in the Cloverfield franchise, but it was decided it would work better as a standalone film, and good thing because it is well on its way to being its own full-blown franchise. And the critics wouldn't mind seeing that, with a consensus that, quote, A Quiet Place artfully plays on elemental fears with a ruthlessly intelligent creature feature that's as original as it is scary. Mulan.
Tell me your sister's not the cause of this.
Mulan, take control of yourself!
Next up on this list of the most beautiful movies shot by women is 2020's Mulan, shot by cinematographer Mandy Walker. In this film, Yifei Liu stars as Mulan, the eldest daughter of Hua Zhao. As her family and community face the threat of northern invaders in China, she defies both tradition and the law by disguising herself as a male warrior in order to serve in the Imperial Army, taking the place and hoping to save her ailing father. This film is a live-action adaptation of Disney's 1988 animated film of the same name, which itself is based on the Chinese folklore story Ballad of Mulan. By the way, Ming-Na Wen, the original voice of Mulan in the animated film and other projects, makes a cameo in this film as well. And bringing that animated classic to actual life was Australian cinematographer Mandy Walker, a one-time cinematographer of the year at the Hollywood Film Awards. She's best known for her work on such projects as 2016's Hidden Figures and Nicole Kidman's Australia in 2008. And filming Mulan was a global effort for Walker, beginning in August of 2018 with stops in places like New Zealand and China, among others, before wrapping in late November.
I can't believe all this time you've been keeping your skill a secret. What else have you been hiding?
Nothing. Leave me alone.
Arjun, we started off on the wrong foot. Can we be friends?
I'm not your friend.
Very well. But you are my equal. We fight together against the same enemy. I will do all I can to protect the others.
This film was directed by Nikki Caro, known for movies like 2015's McFarlane, USA, and 2017's The Zookeeper's Wife. And it marked just the second Disney film with a budget above $100 million to have a female director following Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time in 2018. With a scheduled release in March of 2020 that was forced to be canceled, this film was one of the biggest casualties of the COVID-19 shutdown at the box office. It was eventually released in September on Disney Plus for a premium fee. With Oscar noms for costume design and visual effects, the consensus from critics was that this film, quote, could have told its classic story with greater depth, but the live-action Mulan is a visual marvel that serves as a stirring update to its animated predecessor. The Little Hours.
Did he just smile at you?
I don't know.
Why is he smiling? Who is that?
I don't know.
Who the f are you? Who are you? Who are you?
Fernanda, stop!
He's an intruder. I don't know who the f he is.
Let me get Mother Maria.
Fine, go. Tell me who you are. What? Say something. Where did you come from? What is that? What are you doing with your hands? What? What, are you hungry? What is that, a bird? You're praying?
Bringing a big cast and sprawling scenery onto this list is 2017's The Little Hours, shot by cinematographer Kyuhyun Tran. This black comedy was written and directed by Jeff Baena and is loosely based on the Decameron, a collection of novellas by 14th century Italian writer Giovanni Boccaccio. Baena only wrote a detailed outline for the film and let the cast improvise their way through it, which can work when you have an ensemble cast that includes Alison Brie, Dave Franco, Kate Micucci, Aubrey Plaza, John C. Reilly, Molly Shannon, Paul Reiser, Adam Paley, Nick Offerman, and Fred Armisen. I mean, that is a lot. The plot follows three medieval nuns leading a simple life in their convent until they are joined by a handsome young servant forced into hiding by his angry lord, poorly posing as a deaf mute to discourage temptation among the nuns. But eventually all of them end up going after the young man in their own ways.
These are serious sins, and do you regret doing these things?
I've learned my lesson, I really have, and I don't want to be that person anymore. If I go back out on the road, they will catch me and they will kill me.
Well, I'll give you your penance. I want you to say 10 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
And 15 Our Fathers.
Yes.
Working behind the camera was cinematographer Kyu-Yin Tran, relatively new to bigger budget projects at the time, and who would go on to shoot films like Palm Springs in 2020 and Made in 2021. Her canvas for this film was the sprawling hills of the Tuscan province of Lucca, outside of Florence, Italy, and it proved to be a unique backdrop for an ensemble comedy. And critics enjoyed the hours they spent watching The Little Hours, like Sarah Michelle Fetters from MovieFreak.com, who said, Baena orchestrates events with confidence and flair, allowing his amazingly talented cast room to frolic. And the overall consensus from critics is that The Little Hours gets plenty of goofy mileage out of its gifted ensemble, anchoring its ribald laughs in a period comedy with some surprisingly timely subtext. 13th.
I mean, they called the end of slavery Jubilee. We thought we were done then. And then you had 100 years of Jim Crow terror and lynching. Dr. King, these guys come on the scene, Ella Jo Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, we get the bills passed to vote, and then they break out the handcuffs. Label you felon, you can't vote or get a job.
And now the 9th film we're going to discuss from this list is 2016's 13th, shot by cinematographer Kira Kelly. This documentary was directed by Ava DuVernay and is titled after the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which was adopted in 1865 and abolished slavery throughout the United States. In this film, DuVernay explores the history of racial inequality in the United States, with the idea that slavery has been perpetuated since the end of the Civil War. She explores the suppression of African Americans by things like disenfranchisement, lynching, and how politicians declared a war on drugs that weighs more heavily in minority communities. The doc also looks at the prison system, from once enabling police to arrest poor free men and forcing them to work for the state under convict leasing, to the emergent detention industrial complex and how much money is being made by corporations from these incarcerations. DuVernay turned to a familiar face to work behind the camera in cinematographer Kira Kelly. Now, Kelly has worked on DuVernay's series Queen Sugar as part of a resume that also includes Issa Rae's series Insecure, as well as landing her camera ops skills to 2021's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
In many ways, the so-called war on drugs was a war on communities of color, a war on Black communities, a war on Latino communities.
DuVernay and Kelly put forth an eye-opening film that earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Documentary and won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Documentary or Nonfiction Special. And critics praised 13th as well, with Nell Minow from the Alliance of Women Film Journalists saying that this fierce and fearless documentary is so brilliantly constructed that its message is inspiring as well as infuriating. With an overall critics consensus that says 13th strikes at the heart of America's tangled racial history, offering observations as incendiary as they are calmly controlled. Destroyer.
I'm not good. I'm the one who's bad. It's not you. All right? I'm sorry for lying to you.
And to finish out this list of the most beautiful movies shot by women is the 2018 crime drama Destroyer, shot by cinematographer Julie Kirkwood. This one stars Nicole Kidman as Erin Bell, former undercover police officer who, as a young cop, infiltrated a gang in the California desert, but with tragic results. When the leader of that gang suddenly reemerges years later, Erin begins seeking out revenge against his former associates to try and bring him to justice and make peace with her tortured past. The cast also includes Toby Kebbell, Tatiana Maslany, Scoot McNairy, Bradley Whitford, and Sebastian Stan, but it was Kidman who took center stage despite battling the flu during filming. And she transformed into a character so intense that Kidman said it took months to get it out of her system. Along with director Karen Kusama helping bring the story to the big screen was cinematographer Julie Kirkwood, who turned heads with 2016's A Monster and has remained as relevant as ever after shooting the pilot episode for the hit Showtime show Yellow Jackets.
I'm doing this for you.
Only you.
I know.
Destroyer hit theaters on Christmas Day in 2018, and despite failing to recoup its estimated $10 million budget at the box office, critics were into this certified fresh flick. Sandra Hall from the Sydney Morning Herald praised Kidman's collaboration with Karen Kusama as another example of her willingness to back a filmmaker still to peak. And the overall consensus with critics is that the film's grueling narrative is as uncompromising as Kidman's central performance, which adds extra layers to a challenging film that leaves a lingering impact. All right, friends, that is our list of the most beautiful movies shot by women. Be sure to check out these and then go find some more. There are a bunch of great female cinematographers and filmmakers out there putting forth some amazing work. Thank you for checking out RT Essentials. I'm Naz Perez, and we'll see you guys next time.